Hey, what's up guys? My name is The Black Link, and I'm a new contributor to the PlanetDestiny team. And today, I'd like to share with you guys 12 lesser known tips and tricks for Destiny that I think are really helpful to the community. Now, most of what we'll share here comes from the Destiny subreddit, so be sure to check that place out for even more helpful content. But alright, starting us off, here's how you can make use of invisibility while riding a Sparrow. This one is a bit of an oddity, but a Blade Dancer that's properly spec'd for invisibility can maneuver at speed throughout an environment while being treated as invisible by enemies for the duration of a Stalker or Escape Artist invisibility buff. Simply crouch or melee a foe, with Shadowjack preferably, and quickly board your Sparrow. You'll have a few precious seconds to make your way unseen through a horde of enemies unnoticed, which can be really helpful during a nightfall. Most of us have probably made use of this helpful tip without even recognizing it. Essentially, when you collect your faction package from the Postmaster, ensure that you have a class item of the corresponding faction equipped as well. You'll earn a helpful 125 bonus reputation on top of your rewards to get you on your way to earning your next rank. Get in the habit of always ensuring you're wearing the right class item, and you'll wonder how you ever survived without this piece of super good advice. A few of us have, at one time or another, found ourselves still standing following CROTA'S OVERSOUL eliminating the rest of our fire team. What was once thought to be a bug that couldn't be replicated was recently discovered to be a combination of several unlikely factors. Now you'll need at least 2 Defender Titans with the Ward of Dawn ready to make this work. One must be spec'd for Blessing of Light and the other for Armor of Light. Have each team member stand inside at full health and they will be left standing. Barely. Both bubbles must be placed on top of one another. Anyone who's still alive can then regenerate health and continue the encounter as normal. Now this is a pretty neat trick, but it's probably not anything that's going to drastically alter your chance of success in CROTA'S end. Someone had to have died in the first place to trigger the Oversoul, which means you're already down one member. Now this works in hard mode too, but you will also likely be missing out on precious DPS before CROTA'S ENRAGE timer triggers. It could be a lifesaver in very niche situations, but otherwise it's relegated to the realm of novelty. Many teams have noticed that the Boomers and CROTA'S movement timer don't start until you exit the areas adjacent to the crystal. Well, while this is true, the overall ENRAGE timer actually starts on a static counter from the moment your fire team activates the presence of CROTA debuff by grouping together on the crystal. This is a pretty useful tip for those who have been frustrated by frequently using up all of the time available to take down CROTA on hard mode. If you've been taking your time on the Hollowed Nights, pausing to let everyone use a heavy synthesis and to transfer weapons from their vault, and then wondering why CROTA is getting angry before he reaches low health, well, now you know why. Now thankfully, you do have a full 10 minutes and 25 seconds before the nasty ENRAGE timer begins, so make the most of that time by limiting dawdling and being aggressive enough to eliminate the knights and acolytes that harass your team. Well, you probably already know this one, but we've all been in a fire team with a Sunsinger who suddenly forgets how to use his weapon when he uses Radiance. He flounders around, throwing grenades left and right, and when the effect is up, you're left with only a couple of orbs on the ground. Now, a Sunsinger can kill an enemy through any means and still drop just as many orbs. So what does this mean for you? Well, you can let that not-too-savvy Guardian know that he can and should stick to firing weapons if he's better at it. His Fatebringer or Truth is just as effective as a Fusion or Solar Grenade under Radiance. You can even spawn orbs from a distance with a sniper rifle. The promise of a dozen grenades is an alluring one, but the ultimate goal is to keep your DPS up and to create enough orbs for your teammates to return the favor shortly after. Unless of course you'll get more DPS out of your grenades. Now our hats are off to the attentive Guardian who figured out this neat trick. Reddit user Humble Squid brought this to the collective attention of the community by quickly sweeping your Guardian's reticle from the center to either the left or the right. You can widen or condense your shatter pattern when using Nova Bomb as a Void Walker. Sweep left to lengthen the distance between explosions, sweep right to shorten it. Or as Humble Squid put it, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Now, can you really take advantage of this in PvE or PvP? Well, it's up to you. You need to practice, certainly, and then you need to be able to quickly appraise where you'll need to distribute your damage. The utility you get from this mostly comes down to your own skill, so get out there and try it. As if Ward of Dawn wasn't already a little too porous, this tip allows Blade Dancers to completely trivialize it. If one with Razor's Edge parks outside and chooses the right vector, he or she can send a deadly pulse of energy directly into the bubble, neatly killing anyone in its path. Situations in which it behooves you to adopt this strategy are probably few and far between, unfortunately. Now, anyone who's played Crucible has had to deal with shotgun blinkers, and avoiding their warp to blast antics is certainly a pain to say the least. Most of us just backpedal and try to pull off a couple of lucky shots before we're killed. Instead, try sprinting forward, forcing the Blade Dancer or Voidwalker in question to have to turn around. You'll have to turn around too, of course, but you can do this while running forward, while the unlucky blinker is locked into the animation until he or she lands. You've got a much lower chance of winning an encounter of this nature if you're sticking to your primary and trying to land a lucky headshot or two when they're mere feet in front of you. You seize an element of control that you had previously forfeited when allowing your foe to close, and this levels the playing field somewhat. You'll have to judge where your enemy is going to land though, and this is much easier in principle than in practice. If you misjudge, you could end up walking right into a face full of buckshot. Now this one is spelled out pretty clearly. The uncommon XERXES-C has a perk you don't see on many machine guns, Focus Fire, which increases the damage done per bullet while decreasing the overall rate of fire. It's the same ability you see on the Suros Regime and the Abyss Defiant. Now this perk isn't available on legendaries or rares, so you'll have to get lucky with a drop. The result is a weapon that will always kill in 2 to 3 shots, no matter what the situation. While its base stats are nearly identical to Yolder's Hammer, this perk gives it an utterly unique niche in the Crucible. This gun is a murder machine. If they're already injured, 2 body shots will do them in neatly. Focus Fire has the unintended benefit of artificially increasing both stability and effective range by making the weapon a bit easier to handle. It still only has a magazine size of 23, but it's a great precision weapon for suppressing and dominating your opponents. This is another one of those little things that might go unnoticed by those of us in a hurry. Sure enough, if you're revived by a teammate or use Fireborn to self-resurrect, your Guardian will show back up in the fray looking wherever you had moved the camera while dead. Now, while it's not going to be a game changer, it's a nice quality of life SGA to help you do one of 2 things. You can either ensure you're facing the enemy you want to engage the second you're back up, or you can pick an escape route so you're already ready to sprint to safety. It's good to get in the habit of practicing this until you're unconsciously doing it. Then again, you could always just practice dying less. We hope these pieces of super good advice have been useful to you. We'll be sure to keep an eye out on the Destiny community to continue to relay the advice of the best and the brightest. Have any SGAs yourself? Please feel free to share them with the community. But alright, that's it for this one. For more tips, be sure to visit PlanetDestiny.com, and thanks so much for watching.